Or do something. Oh my God!
What makes a house truly haunted? Is it the spirits of those who met a tragic end?
Where you're standing here and looking down and maybe being seen through either the corner of a person's eye and then his energy would just like disperse.
Across the globe, these haunted locations have drawn thrill seekers and skeptics alike, all searching for answers to the unexplained. Each of these has a story. Some tragic, some terrifying, but all unforgettable. Are you brave enough to explore the ghosts and legends waiting within their walls? Let's take a chilling look at the 15 most haunted houses on Earth. But don't get too comfortable. You never know what might be watching. The Villisca Axe Murder House. Now let's talk about another infamous location, the Villisca Axe Murder House in Iowa. From the outside, it might seem like just another quiet house on a small town street. But its history is anything but ordinary. On the night of June 10, 1912, a gruesome crime took place here that shocked the entire town. 8 people, including J.B. Moore and his family, were brutally murdered with an axe while they slept.
The entire Moore family, Sarah and J.B., their 4 children, Boyd and Paul, Catherine, the only girl, Herman, the oldest, and 2 overnight guests, Lena and Ina Stillinger, were brutally killed on a Sunday night.
The case made headlines as journalists scrambled for details. But even after more than a century, the mystery remains unsolved. The killer was never caught, and the truth of that horrifying night will likely remain a secret forever. In 1994, Darwin and Martha Lynn decided to purchase the house and restore it to how it looked before the tragedy. Since then, it's become a site of fascination for true crime enthusiasts and paranormal investigators. Books, documentaries, and movies have tried to piece together what really happened. But no definitive answers have emerged. Visitors often describe the house as deeply unsettling. Its eerie, untouched appearance alone is enough to send shivers down your spine. Many believe the spirits of the 8 victims still linger there, restless souls guarding the secrets of that dreadful night. Would you dare to visit a place like this? Or are you like me, someone who prefers their chills in stories rather than real life?
With a black light, you could see some of the blood stains on the floor.
Either way, the Villisca Axe Murder House stands as a haunting reminder of a mystery we'll probably never solve. Ghosts in the White House. Did you know that 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the White House, is not just a symbol of American power, but also one of the most haunted places in the country? Over the years, numerous staff members have reported strange noises and ghostly sightings within its historic walls. The White House has witnessed its fair share of eerie occurrences. With a long history that includes presidential deaths and assassinations, it's no surprise that some believe the spirits of the past linger here. While recent presidents, like Donald Trump, haven't shared much about paranormal experiences, the weight of the presidency itself, filled with immense responsibility and a storied legacy, might make those moments of quiet a bit spookier. Imagine stepping into the Oval Office knowing it's a space connected to so much history, both triumphant and tragic. It's a humbling thought for future presidents to consider. Here's hoping they avoid the grim fates of some predecessors as they lead the nation. 50 Berkeley Square, London. Known as London's most haunted house, 50 Berkeley Square carries a chilling reputation that continues to intrigue visitors even today. Now home to Maggs Brothers bookstore, the building's ghostly past still casts a shadow over its current role as a retail space. Built in the early 1700s by architect William Kent, this house has been home to several notable figures. Among them were George Canning, a prominent MP and future Prime Minister, and the mysterious Mr. Myers, whose time at the house remains steeped in speculation. While Canning's political achievements are well documented, Myers's activities in the home are less clear, adding an air of mystery to the building's history. One of the most infamous parts of the house is the attic, believed to be the center of its supernatural activity. According to legend, the attic is haunted by the spirit of a young girl who tragically ended her life by jumping from the top floor. Stories suggest her despair was caused by severe abuse at the hands of her uncle, and her restless spirit is thought to be behind many of the eerie events reported there. Over the years, several visitors and former occupants have described disturbing experiences. The phrase "scared to death" feels unnervingly literal here, as 2 individuals are said to have died under mysterious circumstances while staying at the property. These incidents have only fueled the building's sinister reputation, with some speculating that the intense fear induced by the atmosphere might have contributed to the tragedies. The hauntings, however, aren't limited to the attic. Throughout the house, people have reported hearing unexplained noises like footsteps and whispers. Strange apparitions have also been spotted, and many describe the air inside the house as heavy and oppressive, a feeling that lingers long after leaving. Although there's no concrete evidence tying these supernatural occurrences to specific events, the dark tales surrounding 50 Berkeley Square have solidified its place as one of the most haunted locations in London. Its tragic history and ghostly legends continue to fascinate and terrify anyone curious enough to delve into its chilling past. Blickling Hall. More than just a picturesque estate, Blickling Hall is a place steeped in history and shadowed by ghostly tales. Originally owned by Sir John Fastolf of Caister, its connection to him ended around 1459. Later it became the home of Sir Thomas and Elizabeth Boleyn, who lived there from 1499 to 1505. During their time at Blickling, the Boleyn family left a lasting legacy. Their children, Mary, George and Anne, are believed to have been born on the estate. Anne, of course, went on to become the infamous Queen Anne Boleyn. While the original house no longer stands, the current Blickling Hall was built on the foundation of their family home. Over the years, the estate passed through many hands before it was taken over by the National Trust in 1962, opening its doors to the public for the first time. Since then, its long and fascinating history has attracted visitors from all over the world. The Hall's past residents have left more than just stories. They've inspired ghostly tales that continue to intrigue visitors. One of the most famous hauntings is that of Anne Boleyn herself. Legends say her spirit roams the halls, dressed in white and carrying her severed head. Some even claim to see her spectral coach drawn by headless horses, with headless horsemen in attendance, a truly eerie sight. Her father, Sir Thomas Boleyn, is also said to haunt the estate. Like Anne, he's rumoured to carry his severed head, a chilling reminder of his past actions. It's not just the Boleyns who make Blickling Hall so spooky. Visitors often report hearing strange noises, from unexplained footsteps to faint whispers. The library, in particular, seems to be a hotspot for paranormal activity. Some have seen shadowy figures, while others have felt sudden icy drops in temperature. Blickling Hall's history isn't just about royalty and hauntings, it also played a role during the English Civil War. The hall was used as a barracks for soldiers, adding another layer of significance to its story. This turbulent chapter may have contributed to its haunted reputation, intertwining the spirits of its noble past with echoes of wartime unrest. Leith Hall, the spookiest castle. Leith Hall may look like a charming, striking estate, but its history tells a much darker tale. Located in Kennethmont, this historic site served as a family residence for over 300 years and witnessed events that have left an unsettling mark on its legacy. One of its earliest connections to tragedy comes from Andrew Hay of Rannoch, who sought refuge here after the bloody Battle of Culloden in 1746. Later, during World War I, Leith Hall was converted into a temporary hospital, treating over 500 severely wounded soldiers from the battlefields of France and Belgium. The immense suffering endured by these men may have contributed to the hall's reputation for being haunted. In 1945, Henrietta Leith donated the hall to the National Trust for Scotland, but continued to live there until her passing in 1963. Since then, the site has become a magnet for those fascinated by its rich history and ghostly legends. Many visitors and staff have reported eerie encounters over the years. One of the most commonly spotted spirits is a man with a white bandage wrapped around his head, believed to be a wounded soldier from the war. Another frequently seen figure is a young man in military uniform, possibly another remnant of the hall's wartime role. Other paranormal phenomena make the atmosphere even more spine-chilling. Some rooms are said to emit the distinct smell of camphor, a chemical used to treat wounds. Unexplained footsteps echo through the halls, and visitors have described hearing disembodied laughter and even the playful voices of children. Sudden drops in temperature and the eerie sensation of being touched by unseen hands have left many feeling unnerved. Leith Hall's history is steeped in tales of anguish and loss, which may explain the numerous ghostly presences said to linger. From its use as a battlefield refuge to its role as a wartime hospital, the castle is a place where the past feels remarkably close. Today, Leith Hall offers a unique experience for both history enthusiasts and those drawn to the supernatural. Its blend of historical importance and haunting tales makes it a captivating destination and a must-visit for anyone exploring Scotland's haunted heritage. Whaley House. San Diego is famous for its stunning beaches, perfect weather, and lively culture. But did you know it's also home to one of the most haunted houses in the United States? The Whaley House has a chilling history filled with tragedy and paranormal activity, dating back to the late 1850s. The story begins with the land itself. Before the house was built, the site was used for public executions, including the hanging of Yankee Jim Robinson. Despite this grim past, Thomas Whaley purchased the land in 1855 and started building his family home. By 1857, Thomas, his wife Anna, and their 3 children had moved in and even opened a general store on the property. Unfortunately, the Whaley family faced one heartbreaking event after another. Their youngest son passed away from scarlet fever at just 18 months old. Not long after, a fire destroyed the family's general store. Overwhelmed by their losses, the Whaleys temporarily moved to San Francisco, but eventually returned to their ill-fated home. Tragedy continued to follow them. Anna was once held at gunpoint by armed men, and their oldest daughter Violet took her own life after a failed marriage. These heartbreaking events have left their mark, and many believe the spirits of the Whaley family, along with Yankee Jim, still linger in the house. Visitors to the Whaley House have reported all kinds of eerie experiences. Footsteps echoing through empty rooms, the sound of crying, and mysterious smells are just the beginning. Others have felt cold spots, seen flickering lights, or even caught glimpses of shadowy figures moving in the corners of their vision. The house's reputation as a paranormal hotspot has drawn the attention of experts and thrill-seekers alike. In 2002, it was featured on the Sci-Fi Channel's Ghost Hunters, where investigators captured some of the strange phenomena reported by visitors. Today, the Whaley House is a popular stop on San Diego's ghost tours, with many visitors eager to encounter its ghostly residents. Now a historical site and museum, the house attracts both history buffs and those chasing the supernatural. Its ongoing allure as one of America's most haunted locations ensures it remains a cornerstone of paranormal lore. Faces of Belmez. There's a small cottage in Belmez, Spain, that has captured the attention of the curious and the skeptical alike. While it's not haunted in the traditional sense, this house holds a mystery that has puzzled people for decades. Built on ancient grounds dating back to 1830, the house has one feature that sets it apart: the strange and unsettling faces that have appeared on its kitchen floor. The story began in 1971 when Maria Gomez Pereira, a resident of the house, noticed something unusual in her kitchen. A face seemed to emerge from the floor. Not a ghostly apparition, but a plaster-like form that looked as if it was rising from beneath the surface. Startled, Maria called on her neighbors for help. Using an axe, they tried to remove the strange formation, only to uncover more faces, casts of men, women, and even children. This discovery marked the beginning of what would become known as the Faces of Belmez. Experts and investigators have since tried to unravel the mystery. Some believe Maria herself might have created the faces, while others think they could be the result of paranormal activity. What makes it even stranger is that new faces continue to appear over time, sometimes changing in appearance as though they were alive in some way. Theories about the phenomenon range widely. Some suggest the faces could represent spirits or entities trapped beneath the house, while others argue it might be caused by chemical reactions or environmental factors. Adding to the intrigue, the Spanish government conducted an official investigation, but no conclusive explanation was ever found. Despite the lack of answers, the Faces of Belmez have become a phenomenon that attracts visitors, paranormal enthusiasts, and skeptics from all over the world. The site has been featured in numerous documentaries and articles, fueling endless debates about its origins. Today, the cottage is considered a local landmark, drawing people fascinated by the unexplained. Whether the faces are a supernatural occurrence or simply a bizarre coincidence, they continue to capture the imagination of everyone who hears the story. The Island of the Dolls. Hidden just south of Mexico City, La Isla de las Muñecas, the Island of the Dolls, is both eerie and fascinating. Though now a popular tourist destination, its dark origins make it far more than just an unusual attraction. The island's haunting reputation stems from tragedy, and it is dedicated to the spirit of a young girl who met an untimely death there. The story begins with the island's caretaker, Don Julian Santana Barrera, who claimed to have discovered the body of a girl who had drowned in the canal. Not long after, he spotted a doll floating in the water, which he believed belonged to her. To honor the girl and calm her restless spirit, he hung the doll on a tree. But things didn't end there. Julian said he began experiencing strange and unsettling events, believing the girl's spirit was still present and haunting him. Hoping to appease her, he started collecting more dolls and hanging them throughout the island. Over the next 50 years, Julian continued this ritual, filling the island with hundreds of dolls, many of them weathered and broken, creating an eerie and unsettling atmosphere. In a chilling twist, Julian himself was found drowned in the same canal where the girl had died, under mysterious circumstances. His death only deepened the island's reputation as a haunted place. Today, visitors from around the world come to see the island and its bizarre collection of dolls. Many even bring their dolls to add to the display, further growing the eerie spectacle. With thousands of dolls hanging from trees, nailed to walls or scattered across the ground, the island feels like something straight out of a horror story. While the legend of the Island of the Dolls continues to grow, its haunting atmosphere and tragic history make it a unique and unforgettable destination. Whether you're drawn by curiosity or the paranormal, the island remains a place shrouded in mystery and lore. Would you be brave enough to step foot on this eerie island? The Monte Cristo Homestead. This place is infamous for its chilling history and ghostly tales. Owned by Christopher William Crawley in the late 1800s, this estate has seen more than its fair share of tragedy. Among the most heartbreaking stories is that of a maid who tragically fell to her death from the balcony. Then there's the stable boy, who died in a fire while he was asleep in the stables. Perhaps the most haunting tale is of Harold, a mentally disabled man confined to the caretaker's cottage for 40 years. When Harold was finally discovered, he was curled up at the feet of his deceased mother. Sadly, he passed away soon after being sent to a mental institution. These tragic events have left a lasting mark on the property. Many believe the spirits of those who suffered here still linger. Visitors often report eerie encounters, like seeing a woman in period clothing walking along the veranda, believed to be the maid who fell. Some think the ghost of the stable boy haunts the coach's house. And Harold, his presence is often felt through the unsettling sound of clinking chains, as if he's still wandering the grounds. Rose Hall, Jamaica, a grand 3-story white mansion suspended on a lush hillside in St. James, Jamaica. That's Rose Hall, a striking estate that looks stunning from the outside, but carries a dark, chilling history. Built in the late 1700s, this mansion sits on a hill with breathtaking views of the Caribbean Sea. Its original name, the Calendar House, came from its 365 windows, 52 doors, and 12 bedrooms. But don't let its beauty fool you. This place has a sinister past. The story begins in 1746 when Englishman Henry Fanning purchased the 290-acre estate to build a home for his future wife, Rosa Kelly, an Irish immigrant. The two married in 1747, but their happiness was short-lived. Henry passed away just months later. Rosa went on to marry several times but had no children. Eventually, the estate was inherited by John Rose Palmer, the son of Rosa's last husband. John married Annie Palmer, the woman who would forever cement Rose Hall's reputation for horror. Known as the White Witch of Jamaica, Annie was infamous for practicing voodoo, taking slaves as lovers and committing acts of unspeakable cruelty, including the murder of her husband. Today, visitors claim that Annie's ghost still roams Rose Hall. Her story, marked by betrayal, torture, and death, seems to linger in the air of this hauntingly beautiful mansion. Would you dare to catch a glimpse of the infamous White Witch? Dean House. Known for its sinister reputation, this place will send shivers down your spine. Built in 1906, it was initially the home of Richard Burton Dean, Superintendent of the Royal Northwest Mounted Police. He lived there until 1930, and during that time, the house became the backdrop for numerous unsettling stories. People say the house has witnessed several gruesome and tragic events, though not all are verified. Among the tales are a man pushed down the stairs by an unseen force,
Yeah, lots of times when you go up the stairs, you'll feel like you're being pushed.
another shot dead on the porch, and 3 confirmed suicides. These include a young child found in a cupboard in the attic, a lover who tragically ended their life on Valentine's Day, and a young girl who leapt from a second-story window into the Bow River. With such a dark history, it's no wonder Dean House is considered one of Canada's most haunted locations. Visitors often report phones ringing despite not being connected, chairs mysteriously moving, and eerie laughter echoing through the halls. Heavy footsteps and the strong smell of tobacco are other common experiences that add to the unsettling atmosphere. Hermitage Castle. Sitting by the river in Liddesdale, Hermitage Castle was built around 1300 and has always looked more like a fortress than a charming castle. Its imposing structure has earned it a reputation as one of the most haunted places in Scotland. 2 main spirits are said to linger here. The first is Sir Alexander Ramsay, a 14th century sheriff of Teviotdale. Once an ally of Sir William Douglas, the Knight of Liddesdale, Ramsay fell out of favour and was imprisoned in the castle's dungeon. He suffered a slow, agonizing death from starvation, and it's believed his restless spirit still roams the castle. The second ghost is even more sinister. Known as Bad Lord Sulis, or Bad Will, he was infamous for practicing dark magic and allegedly using children in his rituals before murdering them. When the townspeople discovered his horrific deeds, they captured him and boiled him alive in a cauldron. A gruesome, but some say, deserved end. His spirit is said to haunt the castle, accompanied by the ghostly cries of the children he tormented. Visitors often report an unsettling atmosphere, as if the dark past of the castle clings to its very walls. Would you be brave enough to explore it? Amityville. The Amityville horror case is one of the most well-known hauntings in the world, with countless books, documentaries, and movies based on its chilling events. It all began on November 13, 1974, when Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered his parents and 4 siblings while they slept in their home at 112 Ocean Avenue. DeFeo used a .35 caliber Marline 336C rifle, but claimed to be shocked when he discovered the murders the next day. He was convicted of the crime, though he insisted demonic forces were to blame. Supporters of this theory point out an odd detail. Despite the loud gunshots, neighbors reported hearing nothing that night. DeFeo was sentenced to life in prison, but the horrors tied to the house didn't end there. Less than a year later, the Lutz family moved into the home and fled within a month, claiming they experienced terrifying paranormal activity. They reported hearing strange noises, witnessing objects flying across rooms, and even hearing demonic voices that warned priests to leave when they tried to bless the house. Their final night in the home was so horrifying that they refused to speak about it in detail. Although skeptics argue that many of these claims were exaggerated or fabricated, the violent history of the house and its eerie appearance make it a magnet for ghost stories and Hollywood adaptations. Whether the hauntings are real or not, the events at Amityville have left an unsettling legacy. The Abbey of Carta, Romania. While the Abbey of Carta in Romania may not be a Hollywood icon, it served as the eerie inspiration for the horror film The Nun part of the Conjuring series. The film took a unique approach to the genre, weaving a dark story set in 1952 at a fictionalized version of this monastery. Unlike other films in the series that focus on real-life investigations by the Warrens, like the Amityville hauntings or the Annabelle doll, The Nun explores a standalone, sinister tale. The plot follows a young nun sent to the Abbey to investigate the mysterious suicide of another sister. What she finds is far more terrifying than expected. a haunting presence lurking within the ancient walls. While the movie dramatizes events, its inspiration comes from the very real and very eerie Cistercian monastery of Carta, a 15th century abbey in Romania with its own dark history. Built in the 15th century, the monastery was once a center for religious life and education. Over time, it fell into disuse and was abandoned in the 19th century, leaving behind haunting ruins and countless stories of paranormal activity. Locals and visitors alike have reported chilling experiences, from walls that seem to vibrate to chairs mysteriously moving on their own. Some legends claim that the spirits of the Cistercian monks who once lived there still roam the grounds. Strange lights are said to appear in the windows, and eerie sounds like chanting and footsteps have been heard echoing through the ruins when no one else is around. Shadowy figures have also been spotted gliding through the grounds, and an intense chill sometimes grips visitors. Even on the warmest days, the abbey's isolated location and ancient architecture only add to its eerie reputation. Its blend of historical fact and supernatural lore has turned it into a magnet for paranormal enthusiasts and curious tourists. Even for those who don't believe in ghosts, the Abbey of Carta is undeniably atmospheric. Its haunting beauty, combined with local legends, makes it an interesting destination for anyone intrigued by history or the paranormal. Whether you're there for the ghost stories or just to explore the ruins, the Abbey's mysterious allure is impossible to ignore. The haunting of LaLaurie House. Ever thought about visiting a place with a spine-chilling history? If you're into paranormal hotspots and supernatural tales, the LaLaurie House might be right up your alley. This infamous house, located at 1140 Royal Street, has a grim reputation steeped in violence, ghostly legends, and a connection to the TV show American Horror Story, which has only made it even more notorious. The house's dark history revolves around one key figure, Madame Delphine LaLaurie. She started as a quiet, gentle-seeming woman, but her life story took a horrifying turn. Allegations suggest she may have been involved in the deaths of her first two husbands. Her third marriage was equally turbulent, and when her husband, Louis LaLaurie, left her, things spiraled into madness. Madame Delphine reportedly subjected her slaves, and even her children, to unimaginable abuse. Although the details of her death are still a mystery, her legacy remains haunting. People who see her portraits say they give off a sinister vibe, as if she's someone you wouldn't want to run into in a dim hallway. As for the house itself, visitors often report eerie experiences, faint moans, phantom footsteps, and an unsettling energy that makes people uneasy. Many believe these hauntings stem from the suffering of the slaves Madame Delphine tormented. Personally, I'm not a fan of horror movies, and knowing places like this inspired real-life stories. Nope, not for me. Just imagine finding out your cozy home was once the scene of such horrors. No, thank you. That wraps up our tour of some of the world's most haunted locations. Do you believe in ghosts now? If you're intrigued, why not add them to your bucket list? Thanks for watching, and don't forget, every ghost story has its roots in something real. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.